Welcome to the Chuck-n-Deb Show, heard each Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. here on 1490 AM WWPR. And now, here's Chuck and Deb.
Hi, I'm Chuck.
And Deb.
And thank you so much for tuning into the Chuck and Deb Show. You are live here on Biker Life Radio. And we're so grateful to be part of the Biker Life Radio network. We've got a lot of things in store for you. So thanks for tuning in. And I'm just showing up for the ride today, Deb. Are you prepared to lead the ride?
I am in the leader's position and ready to roll.
Really?
Yep, so let's rev it up and get going.
Well, don't stop on my account. So there's no little girl's squeaky voice today?
No squeaky
so
voice today.
You're really going to kick
We're
it,
kick
get us on the road. You're going to pull back the
Biker
throttle.
Life Radio.
You're going to roll into the curves. What are you going to do here for us?
We're going to lean in and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, we're pretending like we know some biker lingo.
Well, we do know a little bit, but there's so much more that I just every day learn something different. So have you ever heard of this word called squid?
That's what you are.
Oh, really? What makes me the squid?
I don't know.
Well, that was a really great answer to a really tough question.
I had to stop because I didn't want to say anything,
offensive,
sort of
insulting.
That's right.
Let me fill in the word. So,
like I said, I just showed up for the ride, Deb.
I know. What's interesting is when I think about that word, or I've learned a little bit more about this biker life term called squid, and the definition of it is not so technical, but you just kind of know when you see one. Does that make sense at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
Well, maybe. But I would have to know what a squid is to begin with. So our listeners, only reason I know a squid is because I read about it.
You did?
Well, how do you think you found out about it?
Well, of course, but you said you're just along for the ride, so
all right,
I wasn't sure.
That's it. I'm getting off my bike. I'm going home.
No, we got to enjoy the journey together. So let's talk about this biker slang word called squid. So here's the deal about a squid. It's a young motorcyclist, and I'm not being discriminatory about age. It's actually about motorcycling maturity.
Well, who came up with this word squid?
I'm not. That's a great question. I found it on BikerNet. Dang.
Okay.
I didn't put the resource down, but it is an article that I was reading about. About Mike. We'll get back to squid in a second because motorcycling. I'm just going to go off on a tangent. I didn't realize when we started riding how much terminology is used in the motorcycling world, like PRSB is a pre-ride safety briefing. Who would have ever heard of that before?
A little bit to get that out.
I know. I had to think about it,
and
I'm not using my
every day in every
correct.
Sentence.
KSU is kickstands up. So there is a lot of terminology that is specific to the riding world, and squid was a new one for me. I mean, we've been involved in the motorcycling world for quite some time, and first time I've heard that. So again, kind of bringing it back to that, is it's someone that overestimates their abilities, and when you're just learning to ride, sometimes you kind of get in that mode where you think you're better, your skill's stronger than what it really is. Mm-hmm. And that's that maturity that I mentioned initially. Is it's not necessarily an age thing. It's about the maturity on the motorcycle and how you behave on the motorcycle.
All right, so I want you to go over it one more time. What did you say it was?
It's all about the overestimating of ability. So someone that's riding more confident than their skills will allow.
Well, that's interesting. What would I be called if I guess if I had the skills, but I was still riding overconfidently, would I still be a squid?
Possibly, but there's a little bit more to it, because other attributes of a squid is someone that's very boastful about their riding skills, almost braggatory.
I always go around and brag everybody.
Braggadocious.
Everybody I talk to, I go around and tell everybody how bad.
I'm such a badass rider.
And you're saying that makes me a squid?
Yeah, that plus a few more things. So let me get it out.
I'm going to let you get out, but of course I don't do those things. But
so
just for our listeners,
this was
let me tell you about the time that
yeah, they don't want to hear about the time, because then you would be a squid.
Okay, thank you.
So next is the rear wheel is wider than what they're really able to handle. Now, that one threw me for a loop, because I tend to ride with a fat rear wheel on my motorcycle.
Okay, slow down because I didn't hear you. Rear wheel? I can't. Go ahead.
That's wider than what they can manage successful on the motorcycle.
That's a squid.
Okay. All of these things are coming together.
Okay.
It's all about the entire package. And here's, I thought, was some interesting thought processes is they're slow in the corners, and then on the straightaways they accelerate quickly to kind of show that they came out of the corner even faster than what they really did. So it's almost like this false pretense of what they really can do, trying to overstate it so that everyone else thinks that they're a better rider than they are.
This is sounding more and more like you as you read on. Keep going.
Yeah, whatever.
Keep going.
Okay, this next one is they wear no protection. So I think about the person that's in their shorts and flip-flops, no helmet, tank top, no gloves, no anything that's really going to protect them. Yeah, just Frank. Well, no, he wears boat shoes, so we can't put him in that category. He's not a total
Frank
squid.
Anyway.
And then they sometimes will engage in that extreme riding. So I go, okay, what's extreme riding? It's popping wheelies. And while we were out this weekend, I heard someone talking about people that were trying to show off their skills by on the straightaways popping wheelies and being all sorts of cool riding stuff. And I just think that's dumb.
So, come on. This stuff seems about ridiculous to me. I got to be honest with you. Just because somebody's popping a wheelie that they get the name Squid.
Well, it's all of those things together. So it's about the personality and it's about the rider and their behaviors on the motorcycle that make them a squid.
Whatever. We shouldn't be calling people names anyway.
We shouldn't, but sometimes you have to, like, we were out on this weekend, we did see two riders, and I won't talk about the type of motorcycle they were on, but cross over at a stoplight between the cars that were parked right at the red light, ready to go, and they pulled out in front of them on the side. Did you see that?
Well, of course I did.
And what did you think they were squid?
I just thought they were the coolest guys on the face of the earth. And
I almost followed them because I wanted to show them that that's not the best way to ride.
Oh, come on. Now, who are you out there enforcing these things on people?
I'm just me, and I hate because oftentimes I think that is what gives motorcyclists a bad name is when people act in a way that's not becoming to motorcyclists. It's almost like your reputation.
Stop whining.
Well, Deb, that's just going to be something that happens. There's a wheel, and in that wheel are spokes. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to have a bad spoke.
And then what do you do with the bad spoke? You tighten it up, and now you ride true again.
You just, you make sure you got enough good ones.
That was to overcome the bad ones. That's true. So, I think it's more about the spirit of the motorcyclist and how they behave on the motorcycle that really makes them the squid. But that was the first time I'd heard of that term, and I thought it was kind of an interesting concept to think about because, we always, not always, but many times we'll label certain bikers to be certain things. The label of crotch rockets versus bagger riders and all that sort of stuff. And I just don't want to be that to all people, but yet sometimes you see those overconfident riders not riding the safest for themselves and everybody else around them. And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing.
Well, you know what I believe?
What?
You sharing all this stuff. I believe that you saw yourself and those things that you were reading
really?
About. Yeah, a lot of times what it comes down to, it's like some other things in life. It's denial. Sometimes you just don't see really what's happening right there in front of you.
Okay, and
so there's a very good possibility that you are probably the biggest squid of them all. And not only that, it's quite possible, Deb, depending on the age of this article that you read, that you might even be the reason they invented the term squid.
Well, maybe if you open the dictionary, you'll see me in a bikini on my motorcycle, and then you can call me a squid.
Well, that would be a sight to see.
For everybody but me. That's kind of scary.
All right. I'll quit picking on you.
Please
squid.
Do. So I'm going to wear my fishnet stockings the next time.
We can't be calling names, but I'm calling you a name.
Really, a squid head. That's kind of crappy.
Well, I love you.
Well, I'm going to find some whole new outfit to really represent the squid community in the right way.
Well, okay, so we got squid. So it's just what sometimes bikers will mingle with one another and they come up with these terms. I've never heard one biker say to another, that's a squid.
Did you see that squid?
I've never heard that said. And I think, some of these are made up terms. There are some really terms that are used widely or often, I should say.
Sure.
But I really don't hear a lot lot of those type of terms being used with the people I've hung out with. But then again, there's a lot of people in the world, and I still got to meet them all.
That's true. So, and that's part of our mission is to get out there and meet the rest of the riding community.
Yep. So we're getting short. We're coming up on a break here. So what do you want to move into next, Deb, real quick?
Next, I want to talk a little bit about travel because summertime is all about vacations, and we can certainly talk a lot about different types of travel. We actually have some friends that are posting online now about a great trip that they're taking. And so, just kind of put me in that mode. We were talking a little bit about road trips ourselves this past week and lots of fun stuff. But one trip that I want to talk about before we go to that break is we got out and did some riding this weekend. We rode with a group we hadn't ridden before, and they were riding as a group from our local area about 20 miles north of us to celebrate a birthday as well as a fundraiser. And it was great because we hadn't really done group riding. There were about 20 motorcycles on that group. Pre-ride safety briefing was very brief, but I was excited to see that it was done and all the things that we've always done in a riding group were expressed. And the group rode great together. Would you agree?
Yeah, that was a great ride. I really enjoyed getting to meet some new people. It was a good time. I mean, we really only sat at one table, but met a new gentleman, and his name was Carl.
Yep.
So, Carl, if you happen to be listening, hey, it was a real pleasure meeting you, hanging out with you, and we got to, of course, hang out with our friends Scott and Christy with a K. We really love hanging out with them. So it was a great time just for us to get away and sort of relax, meet some people, and not have to work for a change because we didn't have any gear with us or anything.
No.
We were just out there having a good time, just hanging with good people. And you mentioned that there was a birthday, but I don't think I ever met the birthday person. Do you know who it was? Did they do? I didn't hear anybody sing happy birthday. Was I not around?
No.
But I feel sort of bad because I didn't know it was somebody's birthday, or I would have for sure, wished them a happy birthday. So,
well, it was Paula Joe, and she is a member of the group. And again, you're right. No one sang to her. I didn't really see anyone wishing her well wishes. I don't know if it's her birthday week, birthday day, birthday weekend, or what it was, but I know from the stories I heard, she did a lot of celebrating over the weekend, and this was just kind of maybe the bow on the present, wrap it all up and have a great time for her birthday. So
okay,
she did. Yep, I saw her. I just didn't have a chance to wish her happy birthday either. And then the fundraiser, they did some 50-50s and all sorts of great stuff and had a great
they had a bike show. The bikes were cool there. Low Life Industries was there with the big wheels.
Yes.
I love the big wheels.
Yes.
I'm going to get me a big wheel. I know a lot of people make fun of those big wheels, and I've never ridden one, so I guess I still have to get on one and ride one. But as far as I'm concerned, I love the look of them. I want to be on them. To me, it's like a bigger chopper. Actually, I remember someone telling me that she thought that those big wheels motorcycles were for people people who did not have big wheels as a kid. And it was sort of funny. We were talking to Matt, and Matt said, yeah, that's probably true. That's sort of what he sort of saw too. So I thought that was interesting. I never had anybody put it that way. And I wondered, I had to start scratching my head. Now, did I have a big wheel when I was a kid? And honestly, I don't remember. So that might mean I probably did not. Now, I know our children had a big wheel. I know that because they got on the front page of one of the newspapers one time.
Yes.
So I know that they had the big wheel, but old Dad, I'm not sure Dad had the big wheel, so Dad's got to get the big wheel, Deb.
Okay, it's on the list. It'll happen one of these days. We'll get a big wheel, beautiful big wheel. And if it rides as nice as Matt mentioned, I might have to get a big wheel too.
I mean, the colors and everything, it just all appeals to me. I just really love those bikes. I'm not going to keep harping on it too much. Is there anything else real quick before we get going to break here in just a couple minutes?
Well, I'm not sure how much time we have, but kind of to wrap the day up, you did a great job leading us through a back way, and thunderstorms were brewing when we left the Salty Shamrock, and so it was kind of I was impressed that you had kind of looped us around without getting wet at all. It was really a great thing because I think if we would have gone the normal route, we probably would have been soaked.
That's a possibility. It wasn't something that I planned, and I actually love that area over there. I think it's called the Sundance Community.
Yep.
And if you get the streets, it's like Butch Cassidy, and you got these Old West names. and it's really a neat community as you travel in through there. I think I could have went a little bit more of a scenic way, but because I was leading, I didn't want to get lost too many times. I already had to turn around once, and I didn't want to have to inconvenience anybody. So, we just went through the quickest way we could through it. So it all worked out real well.
Yep, and we avoided the rain, and so we got home nice and dry. It was a great day out, afternoon out. I shouldn't say it wasn't a full day, so...
And I thought for sure we're going to get hit by the rain, but we got lucky. I thought I saw it up on 301, but it cleared its path before we got there. Let's go to one of our sponsors. We'll be right back.
If you're looking to either sell or buy a home in the Bradenton, North River area, contact Deb Bell to help make your dreams come true at Reynolds Realty. Call Deb Bell, 941-713-5035. That's 941-713-5035, or online at parishfl.com. For all of your real estate needs, call Deb Bell.
All right, thanks a lot, and welcome back. We're so grateful that you're still tuning in. We're going to continue where we left off, Deb. I think what I want to talk about is you started off, and you talked about some friends of ours are on a trip. Who were you talking about?
I'm talking about Gary and Diana actually taking a fantastic trip. They, I think, started in Salt Lake City, and they're going to Salt Lake City, Utah, I believe, is where they flew in.
Okay.
And are doing this entire Canadian trip and all the way back down to this side of the United States. And the pictures that I've seen so far, oh my, amazing.
I did see the one picture that she put up on her page, and that looked real good. You guys are looking great. Gary and Diana, hope you guys continue to have a great trip. Keep sending the pictures in.
Send them.
Keep posting them on the page. Actually, one of these days, we're going to have a group that will be all set up. So we got to figure that out as we move forward. But it's great to see you guys out on the road. Really appreciate you interacting with the page. It's great to see you guys just doing what we do. That's the life that Deb and I are wanting to pursue. That's the lifestyle that we're wanting, that we're pursuing, and that's the lifestyle that we're hoping that our listeners too want to pursue. So what we want to do is we want to be out there, we want to be on the road, we want to be traveling around the country, see the world, and see it all from our motorcycle.
And share that with you, but also more importantly is you sharing that with us, because there is this connectedness of being a biker, and there is a lifestyle that is just like none other. So whether you ride local or you ride long distance and amazing trips like that, those are the stories of the journey, the stories of the friends you meet, and the things that happen in life. And to me, it's all about the journey and the stories at the end of the day that make it all worth it.
It really is well worth it. And, we've met a lot of great people over the years, and we continue to meet a lot of fantastic people. Like you said, when we went on the ride with the West Coast Florida Riders, that was great. Got to meet some new people. Actually, I got to know Jen a little bit better. It was so funny when she hopped up over the tables. I had to go over there and see Christy, give Christy with a K a big hug, because she hadn't seen her for a while. So I thought that was interesting. And she did it so good, didn't she, Deb?
She was very talented. She very eloquently stepped over Scott and all that sort of stuff to make her place, which we had a place for her. So absolutely. And that's what makes it fun, is that, no matter how far and few between you see each other, there's a connectedness of riders and family as you get to know people. And it's just a way of being. It's a community. It's a family.
Yeah. And with her just getting up on the hey, she was just having fun. And that's what us bikers do. We might be wild and crazy, but, we don't mean really, for the most part, I think, at least I speak for myself, we don't mean anybody any harm. We're just out there just trying to have a good time. There have been times
oh, no,
that we won't talk about it too much, but there have been times, unfortunately, where we have accidentally or
too
not
good of time.
Well, we might have offended some people not intending to do so.
Correct.
But they didn't take it that way. And that just happens. That's everywhere you go in life, if you ask me.
Right. So kind of going down that same path, I'm going to lead you a little bit further. Meeting
now
people.
You're leading me.
Yes. You've said I'm in the driver's seat today. So, we wrapped our day up meeting lots of great people as riders, and then we got home, missed the rain, and decided we needed to have a bite of dinner. So we decided to hit one of our local hot spots that we enjoy, 60 East. And while we're sitting at the bar...
Well, hold on a second. Again, we keep revealing all our secrets to everybody.
This little dive place that's really lousy food. You don't want to go there.
Anyway, that's not that way way, by the way.
No, not at all.
But, you guys might just want to stay at home. That way we have more room at the bar.
Right. And at the bar, like we're always at the bar.
Yeah, we are always at the bar. Who are you trying to fool, Deb?
It's just the two of us. It makes it easy. But anyway, so we went to the bar, wanted to grab just a bite before the end of the night. And so we're sitting there getting ready to leave. And what happens?
I really have no idea. I don't remember because I had too much to drink at the bar.
Well, and you weren't driving. I'll clarify that. So,
well, hold on. You knew that I was joking.
I do.
I mean, I did have some to drink, but I didn't have too much to drink.
So as we're wrapping things up, the gentleman, actually a couple to our right, but the gentleman named Rob looks over at us and says, "Do I stink or something? Because everybody's getting ready to bail on me." And we hadn't talked the whole evening, and I look over there and we just start laughing. And of course, then we begin to have conversation. Next thing you know, the guy to your left starts talking. That's Mark. Yep. So now we're hanging out a little bit longer, wrapping things up a little bit slower in order to have a good conversation. Have a good time. Yeah, meeting new people, getting stories going, all of that.
So why do you bring it up?
Because it's all about meeting new people and spreading stories.
Sure, but what are you bringing this
life.
up? There's a reason you're bringing this up. So what took place at the end of the bar? You actually, Deb, have to tell a story.
Well, of course,
because you were the observer. I'm sitting in there in the middle of it. So tell a story.
So as the observer, I'm in between these three gentlemen, and they're just casually bantering back and forth with conversation like they've known each other 100 years.
What's the conversation about, Deb?
It's some about politics, it's some about history, some about liquor. Have you tried this? Have you done this tour here?
It was more, well, if I recall correctly, it was more about the differences in the generations and how the generations don't work similarly, if that makes sense.
That's true, and that was a good part of it, and that's where you guys really started to connect is, it was about work recent ethic. Generation versus our generations and the differences between the two, and then it just springboarded from there to all sorts of things.
But, as I think about it, I bet every generation has probably said that about another generation. But this one could be a little bit different. I think we would probably all agree. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue the story and what transpired.
Well, so the three of them, I just watched them kind of each interject a little bit of difference, a little bit of similarities. And next thing you know, they're talking about putting together a podcast.
Well, I'm just sitting there, and of course, this is what we do, guys. Deb and I do, and so it just popped in my mind. I'm like, man, it's one of those things when we're sitting around with bikers that we always wish we always had our recorder on. Well, that's what the same situation was here. It would have been great just to have a recorder on to where we could just be recording the conversation. So I brought up the fact, hey, maybe we should do a podcast, and I was feeling really good, so the ideas were flowing and it sounded real good. So who knows? There may be another podcast in the future with Mark and
Rob.
And we don't know. We'll have to see. I was supposed to I got to work it out. So we're working it out.
Yeah, we'll connect with them for sure. And we'll keep everyone posted as things move forward. If there is a new podcast to listen to.
I don't know where we'd get the time at this point, but it is something that I think would be really interesting. Actually, Mark came up with the name. Do you remember the name? I bet she's got to look for her notes.
I do, but I wasn't sure that you wanted me to share it because it might be...
Well, no, we don't think like that. It's ours. Mark came up with it. If that's what we decide to move forward, that's what it'll be.
So here was the name that just got everything started was the State of the Union.
State of the Union. So maybe that will happen. Anyway, stay tuned for that too. We'll let you know on the show if and when that transpires. So again, it's all about time. So what do we have right now next, Deb, that we're moving on to? I think we were talking about, Gary and Diana and traveling. And I think it's real interesting that this week has been a really jam-packed week about biking and bikers and the bike lifestyle, at least for me. You fell asleep for most of it. I'll come back to that later. But, we've been invited to go to a bike event up in Ohio. You want to tell them about it, Deb?
Sure. It's called Thunder on the Strip. Now, I think that's a pretty cool name because here in our local area, we have Thunder by the Bay.
Then they have a Thunder something up at the Panhandle in Panama City. What's that one?
Thunder Road or something.
Thunder
something.
Can't think of it right
Thunder
now.
on the Strip, it's always about the rolling thunder of the Harley-Davidson motorcycles or motorcycles in general. And so, yep, that's happening up in Geneva on the Lake, Ohio in the first part of September.
And so someone we know, a good friend of ours, Frank, he has invited us to come to his place, hang out with them for a few days, and go ahead and attend the event, the Thunder, what is it?
Thunder on the Strip.
Thunder on the Strip. So I know that we've probably been through Ohio, but I don't think I really hung out in Ohio. So we're looking forward to attending that event. But here's the deal. We're not riding.
No.
Yeah, we're a little bit bummed out about that, but time is always the key. It's always crucial, and we'll tell you about something in just a moment. But we are flying.
Yes.
But the crazy thing is, Deb, is how much are we flying round trip for both of us?
Round trip for both of us, I think I found him for $160. It's crazy.
You know, how could you not take up somebody on an invitation? It's going to cost you $160. There's no hotel room. You help with food and drinks or whatever. I mean, that's just dirt cheap to go have a great long weekend.
And experience a whole new biker event that someone else has been to before. They know the ropes,
That's
and
right.
they're going to show us all the ins and outs of that great event.
So here's a little something that people need to know about us, Deb, that they may not have known. They might have heard about it in some of our previous episodes and our other shows. And that is, be careful. Really mean it. Let's put it this way. Really mean it if you invite us. If you invite us anywhere, because we are the type of people that will more than likely take you up on your invitation if everything works out perfectly the way it should. And in this situation, as long as the timing works out right, I think it's going to work out. I don't think there's going to be an issue whatsoever with this, is we're going to be there. And by the way, we didn't mention this, Frank's got a bike for us to ride. So he's got a couple of bikes. What, he's got 3 bikes up there?
Two, I think.
Two
so
bikes.
at least
He's got 2
there's
bikes.
for us
so
to ride.
Deb might have to ride on the bike on the back one day, and then the next day I'll have to ride on the back. So we'll just work that out. But at least we're going to be riding when we get there. And so it's going to be really cool. So, hey, big shout out to Frank. Thanks so much. We're looking really forward to that.
Excited about that.
It really is. Looking forward to that. And then, as we were planning, because Deb, when we first took a look at this, we were going to try to take, 2 weeks?
2.5, 3
on the
weeks
road.
Almost. Yeah, 3 weeks actually.
We were actually going to get on the bikes because we've had another invitation from a wonderful couple, and we'll go ahead and mention them too, Brian and Sandy, out in Jerome, Arizona. And they have invited us out. They've got a nice place out there. I know that it's beautiful. They even have a little, what's it called in the back?
Kind of a mother-in-law suite or an apartment that they have, so you can
So
stay
he says you can stay
separate.
as long as you want. We don't have to interfere with people's lives, right? So the whole idea is we thought about going out there to Jerome, and then we have friends. We're going to come back to this. Then we also have friends in Phoenix, Kristen and Corey. Kristen and Corey, and actually got to talk to Corey this week, and he made another invitation I'll mention here in just a moment. So we've got all these open invitations. So we were sitting there trying to plan this trip to go visit Brian, to go to Ohio with Frank, and we wanted to ride it all.
Yes.
And we did have it all laid out. We did our times. We knew how much we're going to have to ride every day and all that sort of stuff. We had it all figured out. But then when I went to check with Corey, because I definitely wanted to see Corey and Kristen.
Yep.
So many K's, Christies and Kristens in my life.
That was a Kristen with the K too. So
anyway, we just wanted to definitely see those guys, and we'll go ahead and mention Jade and Alex as well, because we want to see them as well. But unfortunately, they've got other plans, and Corey's going to be out of town. So in that whole mix of things, we got to chatting, and Corey, invited us to come to Aruba. When is that? That's
the middle of September, the end of September.
Middle of September. So Corey's just a long-time great friend, and he's just a wonderful person.
Time.
And he is one crazy
Wild
dude.
And crazy dude.
All right. That's why we get along, because we're crazy, all right?
Yeah.
He's way crazy. He's younger
totally
than,
cray-cray.
Yeah. He's younger than me, so if I was his age, I'd probably still be that crazy, but he's a lot crazier than I am. And so anyway, he invited us to Aruba and basically offered us a timeshare resort for a whole week.
And again, how can you say no to that? How can you say no?
Because I think the tickets are going to be, a couple $100 for that, right?
Yeah, I haven't really done much research, but he said we can pretty much find fairly inexpensive from Miami or wherever we have to fly from.
So all we got to do, we won't have a motorcycle, guys, but we might get something, I don't know.
Scooter.
No, we're not doing the scooter thing again. I told you no.
Okay.
Well, but if anything, we're going to be hanging out at the beach.
That's it. Absolutely.
Or at the pool, because it's right there. It's all right there.
So now when I think about that, we weren't always the type of people that would take people up on an invitation like that. So, over the years, we've changed, I think, a little bit about who we are and enjoying the fact that it is more about the journey and making friendships and bonding together with people than maybe when we were younger.
No, what you say is true, but what you forget is we had kids.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was what the issue was. We are now empty nesters. And we are loving being empty nesters. No, we love our daughters. We love our grandkids. Yeah. But we just love finally having some time to do the things that we want to do on our own. So, yes, in the past, I think, Ashley, Corey, you probably did invite us. And unfortunately, there was probably work and some other situations and children, of course. So we weren't able to do that. But we've got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. We'll finish up the story. You don't want to miss it.
Our sponsor today is Tony and Guy Hairdressing Academy. If you desire to be a leader in this fast-growing cosmetology industry, then contact Tony and Guy Hairdressing Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado at 719-390-9898. Again, 719-390-9898. Or visit coloradosprings.tonyguy.edu. For more information about Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Tony and Guy Hairdressing Academy, call 208-930-1276. Again, that number is 208-930-1276. Or visit them at coeurdalene.tonyguy.edu. Or visit the Chuck-n-Deb Show sponsor page for more information.
Welcome back to Biker Life Radio. So wrapping up our trip to Aruba, what makes me wonder, I think about that song from the Beach Boys, Aruba, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna...
Yes, I'm married to her.
Okay. That's what I think about.
Well, of course. Now, not only that, we'll have the experience to go along with the song.
That's right.
So we're looking really forward to that, and we're really just truly grateful for everybody for their open invitation, and we are so blessed.
Totally blessed.
So blessed to have such wonderful people in our lives and to be able to experience the things we are. So shout out to everybody. We love you all. You know who you are. And that means all of you. We love you all.
Love you all.
So here's sort of like the moral to the story. We're actually not going to finish with this, but so I don't forget, because I do that often, is we started this off. If you're going to invite us, just make sure that you understand that we are more than likely going to take up you on that invitation if everything works out perfectly.
Right.
We've had some invitations that unfortunately we can't do it. We just can't do everything.
Yeah.
So we try to do, and that's actually what we're working forward to in our life here, and that's what we're doing. We want freedom, guys. We if you guys are riders, it's all about the freedom, and we want to be the freedom of the road, the freedom of our life. We just want to be free because we're old people, and it's time to be free.
We worked hard to get here. We raised our family. It's time to enjoy the true freedom.
That's right. Find true
life.
freedom. Find true freedom.
For sure.
All right. So one of the things before we move on, since we're sort of on this topic, I want to bring up Kevin, because we got a great friend, Kevin. He has been a friend of mine. He's my best friend probably for a long time, because we've known each other for the longest. Corey, you're great, and everybody's great.
Right.
Kevin is probably my longest lasting friend. Everybody else decided that I was they didn't want to be with me, so they dumped me.
Wrong. No, you just known Kevin for a really, really long time, over 30
everybody
years
else
probably.
We just grew apart from in distance and a lot of other ways. But yeah, Kevin and I was always been real good pals, and so we're looking forward to having him. I can't believe I just said pals.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not my kind of word.
Dudes,
anyway.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. So we started off riding many years ago, not together. I don't know when Kevin, we'll have to find that out. We're going to have Kevin on here,
We'll
Kevin
have to have
interview
Kevin
Kevin.
on.
He'll probably be part of the show. He's going to be coming down in November
Right.
and hanging out with us. We're going to be taking him to the St. Pete Bike Fest.
Yes.
And so everybody will get a chance to meet Kevin. And who knows, maybe he'll become some kind of iconic figure on our radio show.
Because he is truly living the biker life, and he's a cool dude, and he's a great friend, and he's always been there for us.
Oh yeah, he's actually the reason that Deb and I are riding motorcycles again, because for a while, for years, we were away from it. As we've explained in other shows, Deb had a motorcycle, and then we got away from it because of life does that to you. Life happens. And then we went and visited Kevin up in Michigan, and he had his motorcycle there. And I began to, in my mind, re-envision all the good times that we had while we were on the motorcycle, and I just had to have it again. And so that's really what all spurred it. If it wasn't for visiting Kevin, and if it wasn't for Kevin, you would not be hearing us live right now on the radio like we are. So, we just love Kevin. Everybody's going to love Kevin when they get a chance to meet him. He is also a crazy guy. This guy's just as crazy, and he's older. He just turned 60, I think.
Yes, he just had his 60th birthday.
Him and Corey, if they hook up, oh my goodness gracious!
Trouble.
And the three of us, then they better shut down the town. Is all I got to say.
Or you guys will shut it down.
They could very well
be.
They'd have to shut it down. Anyway, just all in fun. So again, we're just looking forward to having Kevin coming out. We got great plans for that, and
yes.
So we're just. It's nice to be able to look into the future. So we encourage you to go out there and do these things for yourself. Make plans, even though you're not sure that they would happen. Like for instance, Deb, coming up in August is what? Sturgis. You're looking at me like,
yeah. I'm like, oh gosh,
we were talking about earlier. So coming up in August is Sturgis. So what do you want to say about Sturgis? Anything?
Well, first of all, my thought.
Maybe we can make that. I've already told you. What did I tell you the other day?
You're going and leaving me behind.
Well, yeah, and I mean it.
Okay.
I just said you can't make it this year. This year I have to go by myself. You're like, who am I going with? What'd I say?
By yourself.
So, hey, if I tell you something, Deb, it's going to happen. You're on your own, honey.
All right, baby. So I'll be there next year, and we'll see you whenever.
So tell me what I can expect then.
All right. So Sturgis 2019. One of the great things about this year is this is the year of the ride, and it's the 79th anniversary of this event. Now, if you're in the biking community at all, you have heard of Sturgis. It is one of the top 5 events in the entire United States. And, they've got some great things going on. They're actually claimed to fame as one of the largest and oldest gatherings in the United States. So some of the main, first of all, as a rider, I go, okay, so that's great. It's going to be probably like every other biker event. Oh, no, it's not. So here's what makes that particular different, that event different.
You can spit it out.
Maybe. So it's in Sturgis, South Dakota. And if anyone at all knows anything about riding in that area, there are 5 top rides as a motorcyclist you've got to get to. So the first one is Mount Rushmore. And that's the heads of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abe Lincoln. That is in the heart of the Black Hills. Number 2 is the Crazy Horse. That is the largest sculpture of a Lakota tribe leader, and that's Lakota, or the Indians in that particular area. Number 3 is Custer State Park. There's 71,000 acres of haven in the middle of the Black Hills, and what that particular ride is all about the wildlife that comes right up to you in the motorcycles as you go through that area. Next, of course, one of the famous areas is Needles Highway. That's over 14 miles of South Dakota's beautiful highways, granite towers, tunnels, and turns galore. And then finally coming in number 5 is the Canyon Ride. Now, the Canyon Ride is known as one of the coolest rides. It winds around Spearfish Canyon, Boulder Canyon, and if I'm saying that right, Vanaker Canyon. So again, they all each kind of have their own mystery, mystique, and ride with it that gives you a whole different flavor of that particular area. You also have the opportunity, if you're interested, in riding with a local. So there's a small fee of $25. They're going to take you out. Now, we have done rides with people in the local area on certain trips, and I can say that that's phenomenal because you'll see the roads and rides that they see as a local that you won't see on any of those other big trips. And there's a legendary adventure ride, not just an event for Harleys and baggers, but this is also for the crossovers that want to participate in kind of the dual sport bikes. So it's, a lot to offer no matter what type of motorcycling you enjoy doing. So for the rider, there you go. Now, concerts. We got to talk about music, and the party gets started on August 2nd. There's going to be Skid Row. I've got a whole plethora of different types of genres. So on the 3rd is Keith Urban. On the 5th, this kind of will date me a little bit, was Styx and Collective Soul. On the 6th is Cheap Trick and Foghat.
Cool.
And then if you were there on the 7th of August, you'd get to see Snoop Dogg.
What do you mean if I was there?
Oh, well, I don't know when you're going for sure. So if you're going to be there on the first part or the end, or...
I'm going to be the whole time.
Whoa, okay.
Think you can live without me?
No, I know I can't. I'd want to think about it, but no, I can't. So in addition,
sure you can.
Toby Keith, Jackal, which famous Jackal,
tons of stuff.
And Saving Abel. So tons of music, tons of fun, lots of rides, and Sturgis is the place to be.
Sounds like it. We haven't made Sturgis yet. It's on our bucket list.
On the list.
And that's why I'm going this year. And Deb is staying home.
So I'll
Deb, what state's it in?
South Dakota.
Do you know that?
I do know that.
Okay. So how far is South Dakota from North Dakota?
No, they're side by side, but
They're
where
side
in
by
the
side.
state? I don't know.
Are
Is
you
that
seeing
a trick
where I'm
question?
going with this, Corey?
Oh.
I wonder
Really?
how far from they have a home up there, right?
No, I don't know if they do anymore. I'm not
okay.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I guess
that's
we
right,
missed
Fargo.
That. They were so
might.
close.
That's a great
Yeah.
thought. Gosh. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be great for me anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. So very good. You knew what state it was in. That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Is that
Sturgis
impressive?
is definitely, if you're a biker, you're probably have it on your bucket list one way or another. It's definitely a trip that you want to make. I know that the way I feel about it is that we'd like to ride. If we're going to go up there, we understand it's at least a 2-week ride if you're going to do it right. I mean, you could probably do it in a short amount of time, but you got to be young, number one.
Well, and you're going to be beat no matter what.
You're going to just be drained, and I'm not sure you'll be able to enjoy it as much as you could. So you want to plan for the time to be able to enjoy it. Sure, we could trailer up, but it's all about the bikes for us. It's all about the ride, and we want to be able to do the ride and say we did the ride. I want to say I did it. I want to have bragging rights. Like I do. I go around telling everybody, like we started at the beginning of the show, I did this, I did that. That's who I am.
Watch out. I'm going to call you a squid, man.
Whatever, squid chick.
Squid chick. I like that one. I might just adopt it.
Chick.
Squid chick.
Yep.
All right. So in addition to that, just kind of on the travel side of it, there is if you're a new motorcyclist, you may be wondering, how many of these silly events go on across the United States?
Man,
and there are tons of them.
Do you have a number?
I do.
I can't
Actually,
imagine.
I have the 10 largest in the U.S. Kind of things that make you go,
All right. If you say so, Deb, you're in charge.
So, of course, number one is Sturgis. We have the ability to talk about Daytona Bike Week in our local area. There's Rolling Thunder, which we were able to hit earlier this year. There's a Bike and Blues barbecue in September. There's a Love Ride, a charity ride in
what
October.
The heck? Oh, a Love Ride, charity ride, okay.
Yeah, Laconia. Of course, we haven't made it to Laconia yet either, and we'll get to that one. There's an Indiana Boogie event, a Laughlin River Run, that in Laughlin, Nevada. That sounds like a good time. Myrtle Beach Bike Week, and what's also referred to as number 10 is the Redwood Run, and that's camping old school motorcycle rally. Can you imagine that?
Nope.
Camping old school, popping the tent.
I know that's what
ground.
Kevin does.
He does. He's a tough, badass dude. I just got to say that.
Yeah, that's him.
That's it.
There's no doubt about it. All right, so there is something else. I don't know what else you got on your Deb list because I just don't want to miss a few things. And we've got just a little bit before we go on break again. It is the 50th anniversary of the Easy Rider we talked about on last week's show and segment and episode, I should say. And so we went to the movie.
We did.
What did you think about the movie, Deb?
Oh.
You determined that, number one, you hadn't seen the movie before, right?
Correct. I did not have an opportunity before this to see it from beginning to end.
But you just knew there was cool motorcycles.
I knew there were cool motorcycles and a chopper that was like really awesome. So that was cool. I didn't really know what the movie was about other than freedom and enjoying and experiencing what that time in the 60s was all about. So I learned a little bit about the movie as I watched it. Great acting. The transition from the old school film was a little different into 4K. And like you had mentioned as we talked about it, is that up close, that 4K digital photography was amazing. And first of all, I was extremely surprised at the audience. It was an older crowd, didn't seem to be much of a biker group. And lastly, I was shocked by the ending. I had no idea. And I cannot give it away for everybody, but I know I was just, is that it? That's the end? Oh my gosh. I just couldn't believe it. It was just you asked me my opinion, that was it.
So I heard your opinion.
Yeah.
And I also say, what was the audience like, you said?
Older and didn't seem to be really bikers.
Well, people don't have to be bikers to go watch a movie. Did you know that?
I do, but this is a biker movie, and it's kind of a classic biker movie. And
well, I love always enlightening you.
Okay, bring it on.
Those people probably watched that when they were in their teens or 20s, and they wanted to rewatch it again on the big screen.
Probably
now,
right.
can you see that?
I see that.
So,
now.
we actually thought about stopping some people on the way out and maybe pulling out our cell phones and saying, hey, what inspired you to come to the movie? And what did you think? And, but we didn't want to bother anybody. And quite honestly, there really wasn't very many people there. So we had a great time. The movie was really good. As far as the transition from the 35 millimeter to the 4K, I think the only time I really noticed when they were up close, the photos, the film was up close. Though if I was to have that movie, I'd want the 4K. Definitely.
Yes, definitely.
So that I could watch it slower, enjoy it. And, there's a lot of splices. The way they did that movie, I'm not sure if those were intentional. I'd have to read that and learn a little bit about that.
Or go back and watch the original and see kind of how that played out. Because there were a couple of spots that I was like, that's weird, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of compare the two, I guess we could do that. But overall, it was a good movie, and I had determined that I have seen it.
Okay.
It's been a while because there were some things that I saw that just came back to my memory, and I actually knew what was going to happen. For instance, the part about the Jack Nicholson. I forget what character he played in the movie.
I don't remember his name.
But that was one scene I remembered, as well as several others. So that was really cool. It was a great event, and there was after that, we went out and we did some things. But you're going to have to stay tuned because we'll tell you right after this break. Hi, this is Chuck with the Chuck-n-Deb Show. If you'd like to be a sponsor on our show, please contact us at 216-7625. That's 216-ROCK. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. All right, we are back. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to go ahead and get right back to where we were. We just got through explaining to you guys about the 50th anniversary of Easy Rider and how we went to the theater and watched the movie, and we described a little bit about that. And real quick, I'm trying to decide which direction to go in here, Deb.
But before you do, if you didn't see it yet, you haven't missed it. So it will be showing tonight at 7 o'clock at the Sarasota Regal Cinemas in downtown Sarasota. And you want to be sure and come out and see that tonight at 7 o'clock. It's the last showing in this local area. So
yeah, check it out. I think it's worth it. It's the price of a regular movie, I guess. I don't know. I haven't been to a movie in a while. But anyway, we had popcorns and Coke and everything. But so I don't know where to start, Deb. I want to talk about Blew It. We blew it.
Oh, okay.
And then I want to talk about, just a little bit about the ride back.
How we wrapped
So should I start off with we blew it? Or
yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
So since we're talking about the movie, there is a scene, and the way I understand the scene from is there's a scene before the end that they filmed after the end scene. I hope that makes sense. Does it make sense to you, Deb?
They filmed it.
So after the ending was filmed, they refilmed another closing. prior to that they put in right before the ending. And in the ending, or should I say right before the ending, there was a scene where Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda were sitting around a campfire, and Dennis Hopper was talking about how we made it, we're rich, we finally done it. And Peter Fonda said to him, no, we blew it. And so after the movie, when Deb and I were out, we were at that, what was that bar we're at? It wasn't a bar, it was a cafe.
Epicure.
Cafe Epicure in Sarasota. Great place. Tony, great bartender, by the way.
Yes, totally.
So, it was really good. Anyway, so we're sitting there and we're discussing this. What did Peter Fonda mean by we blew it? So I did a quick search on my phone, and Peter Fonda said that's one thing he's never going to tell anybody about, what his meaning for it was. So I got to thinking, and this is how I came up with it, okay? For me personally, the movie actually is about, to me, okay, this is for me, guys, it was about stereotyping bikers. Okay. And it was about long-haired people being different than other people. And it was about people experiencing freedom and other people being jealous or just feel terrible about themselves because they can't feel the freedom that other people that they experience. Okay. So, did I make sense?
It does.
Okay, so it was about those things. So basically, if we want to summarize real quick, it was a stereotype, okay, about the bikers, and what happened was the bikers ultimately didn't, or these bikers weren't treated very well, though they were good people. They're just like all the other bikers out there. And actually, when I left the theater, I actually felt like that people still really had misconceptions about who we are, because I might be dressed a certain way on a bike, but when I go to work, I'm a different person.
Correct.
And so I did feel, I don't know if it was because of the movie, I did feel that a little bit. Because I did have some people look at us strange, but that's normal. So anyway, let's get back to the point here. The point is that I wanted to talk about, and I was trying to figure out in my mind what it meant when he said blew it. And so here it is. The movie, again, was, to me, about stereotypes, okay? In the movie, they stereotyped someone else. And if I was someone that wanted to take something offensively, I could have taken it very, very derogatory toward me. Okay. And I mean that because this happened in the South. And basically what you're making these people in the movie, they were rednecks. Okay. Now these rednecks didn't get along with these bikers. And I'm only using rednecks because that's the only term I got to use. I'm not calling anybody names or anything.
Whatever,
anyway, so in my mind, I don't think Peter Fonda was talking about actually what was taking place in the movie, but what the movie was about and how they blew it. Because it was a scene that was filmed after they had already filmed the movie that they put in. Okay, sure. So this is after they already had the movie. They probably already went through some edits. They probably already know what the film's about and how it's going to flow and what the ending is.
That's right.
So I know it's a little bit of a strange way to see this, but we blew it meant we were actually trying to do a movie where we were stereotyped, but yet inside the movie, we stereotyped these people to be who they were. And actually, now that I think about it, there were many stereotypes throughout the entire movie.
I would agree with that.
Many stereotypes. Now, look, guys, I'm not saying that's what it is. I just wanted to share with you what I thought it may have meant by we blew it. Yep. And I wanted to go on the record, and it was very deep. I don't know that I'm going to explain it as well as we did that night right afterwards, but that could be what it was. Who knows? Maybe, Deb, today we blew it.
Maybe.
All right.
But everybody else has a chance to go see it and see it. Make sure they don't blow it.
That's right. And find out if they can understand what it means when he says,
you know, Billy, we blew it.
We blew it.
All right, we're getting short on time, so we got still a lot more to cover. This weekend, as I mentioned earlier, it was a jam-packed week for biker lifestyle and biker stuff, because when I had some downtime, this is when Deb was asleep, I watched 2 different shows on Netflix. Am I promoting Netflix? Only if they send us a check. Anyway, that's a joke. Okay. So I watched 2 shows. I watched Billy Lane, and I thought that was very interesting. Again, we've been biking for a number of years now, and I've never heard of Billy Lane. I've heard of Arlen Ness, and that was years ago. I didn't know who Arlen Ness was.
Right.
And I was like, who's Arlen Ness? And so Billy Lane was really cool. They had the show on Netflix, and Billy Lane, what he did is he went around to all the big biker events I think you mentioned. I think it was in 2005, if I remember correctly. And what he did was really cool. He actually had where he built bikes or repaired bikes or tore bikes down, and he has Choppers or Chopper Ink, one of the two. But ultimately what they were doing is they were giving away a motorcycle to a veteran at nearly every one of the events that they stopped.
That's super cool.
It was way just too cool. And so, I told Deb the next morning, I said, you really blew it. She's like, why? I said, well, you fell asleep. She said, what was so important about falling asleep? And I said, well, number one, you'd probably like the guy that was on there because, do you even remember seeing him all?
I don't, but I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy, and so she would have probably kept awake if she could have just, made it through the first part of the movie.
But I've got the best-looking guy ever.
Oh, thank you, Deb.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I do.
So,
I wouldn't want to look at anybody else.
That's yeah, you're right. I see her roll. Yeah. Nobody's believing it now.
I love you.
Whatever.
Charles.
Okay. So anyway, great show. I really enjoyed it. I like to be able to see things like that. Very inspiring. And the ending inspired me. Okay. So the ending, we're going to see that play out in the future on the Chuck-n-Deb show, okay?
Okay.
And then there was another one, and that was, I think it was entitled Black Bike Week. And for the purposes of this, I'm going to stay reserved. I wanted to talk about it. And I'm holding myself back now about talking about it, and not in a derogatory way whatsoever. Matter of fact, when I'm ready to talk about it, if I ever do talk about this, which I guess I'm doing now, basically what it is I would much rather see, I'm going to sum it up, I would much rather see bikers be bikers, and again, not separating out who we are.
Right. So
number one, we're all Americans.
Right.
We're all American soil. All right. And we're all bikers. I mean, we've got more than just one thing in common now.
Correct.
And so, the gist of that show was that these people that were attending the Black Bike Week were being treated differently than what they called Harley Bike Week. And, why can't we come together and just have a bike week for everybody?
Right.
Is my feeling. And, I might get beat up by a lot of people thinking about that on either side of this.
Right.
But
Correct.
to me, if we're going to be bikers, guys, we're going to be bikers, and we're going to hang together. We're going to stick together. And we don't need to be, we can have these special events for special things or whatever, I guess. But do we need to have them divided? Because that's the problem with the country, is if you ask me right now, things are so divided. Things have gone back. Things are not like they used to be. There used to be a time where we were unified. And now everybody's so far apart on different polarities, on different ends. And maybe we'll have it on that podcast show. What's it called?
Disdain.
No.
The State of the Union.
This State of the Union.
Yeah, sorry.
And this is not the State of the Union, so I don't want to go off too much. The whole idea is, the whole point that I'm trying to make here is I believe more in unity than I do in division, and than I do in simply labeling things.
Right.
And so that's just me. So that's where I have it. That's what I felt about it. They were both good movies. They were both portrayed well. And that's what I had. So there's my movie critique for the week.
The shows
movie
of the
critique
week.
For the week.
So
I didn't plan it that way. But
I watched some of that with you as well. And
you did? I don't think so. Which eye did you watch it out of?
The right.
We watch it out of the right eye.
So, the one thing I thought about that myself is that those 2 weeks, the Harley Davidson week and then the Black Bike week, are back to back. I mean, it's not like they're different times of the season and there are certain other things that drive those two events. They're one right after the other in the
seemed like it was.
same
I'm pretty sure
town.
it is.
So it's pretty crazy that that's happening right there in that area. And, that's what for me was, didn't make a whole lot of sense.
And of course, if there is any racism or people being treated different from any particular way, we're not for that. All right?
No, absolutely not.
So we don't want anything like that.
We're
and
all bikers.
I think that's why if we come together, we're all forming together, making a bond, making a statement that if that's happening, we're not doing it.
Right. We're not
for
it.
Because there's a lot of things going on right now in the country where people are being called things that they aren't for political reasons.
Yeah.
All right. And so we don't need to be name calling. What we need to be doing is coming together as a nation and sticking strong, because that's who we are. That's who we are as bikers. That's who we are as Americans, the United States citizens.
And we're bikers, man. We stick together.
Okay. All right. So our show is about ready to come into an end, so that we have a way to make sure that I haven't ended this on a negative note, Deb.
Absolutely not.
Deb, because you forgot that we have to announce the winner.
Oh, man.
See, you did blow it. You better hurry up. We don't got a little bit of time.
So the winner, we actually, on our Facebook page, we had a photo that showed a situation. We asked people to give feedback, and our winner of the $200 hotel
savings card
is Lee Haggard.
He's one of the founders of the West Coast Florida Riders, and it was not picked that way. He was. If you go out to the page, you can actually see that he was the first to respond to that post, and that was what Deb and I had agreed that we thought the picture was about.
And all the responses were really thought-provoking and probably accurate as well. But you have to kind of pick
and I talked to our sponsor,
story.
which is Advertising Boosters. I talked to them,
okay,
and they're actually going to give everybody that participated a gift. So everybody will be receiving a gift.
That's super cool.
That is ending it on a positive note.
Yes.
I've enjoyed this show. It's been really different for Deb and I this time. Yeah. And we hope that you stay tuned. We got to say we're going to let you go. Play the Chuck-n-Deb Show podcast.
You've been listening to the Chuck-n-Deb Show, heard each Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. right here on 1490 AM WWPR. We thank you for listening, and we invite you to join us next week.